You wanna see some blood? You wanna see some violence? Okay, let me relax. Let's hop into this video.
She in the streets, playing with the best, yeah, we don't freeze. Niggas try to steal my energy. Waves with the ice, yeah, surfboard me. I get the bag and I dip, yeah. Said I'm a rock star, fell over all of the drip, yeah. Diamonds in my charm, like I just wearing them hips, yeah. Think like a porn star, manifest all of my dreams, yeah. I'm living like a god, rock star, trap star. Got the gas with me, yeah.
What's good, Dark Knight Gang? I'm Neptune. Hey, bro, today I'm about to react to a video from Fight Focus. This one right here is titled The Bloodiest Fights in MMA History. Sheesh. This should be a fire video. I'm ready to hop on into this. We're going to see some bloody fights. We're going to see people get pummeled. We're going to see some people get thrashed. We're going to see some people get their ass beat. And they're going to be bloody everywhere. I'm here for it. Have you ever been beat up before? Let me know down in the comments. Have you ever had a bloody nose, bloody lip, whatever? Let me know down in the comments. I've never been beat up, but I played sports. I've been elbowed before in basketball. I had a bloody nose a few times. You know what I'm saying? Bloody lip. Had a black eye before. It happens. It's part of life. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm ready to hop into this video. Bloodiest fights in MMA history. Listen, you keep talking shit about me. Keep talking shit about me, bro. This is gonna be you. I'm gonna let you know which one is gonna be you if you keep talking shit, nigga. No, I'm kidding. I love y'all. Shout out to the gang. Let's go.
We've all seen so many fights that have been amazing, boring, or just okay. But what really determines what is a great fight? Is it the rivalry between the fighters? Is it what's on the line? Or is it just a simple sight of just watching someone get slept? We all have to admit, there's nothing better than seeing a good knockout or just an overall good and bloody fight, with both fighters just wailing at each other. Also, comment down below what you think is the bloodiest fight to ever happen. Our first fight, Penn vs. Stevenson. Honestly, this is one of the toughest fights to watch, due to the amount of blood loss from Joe Stevenson. The fight was put together because of Sherk, the reigning lightweight champion, being suspended from California State Athletic Commission for testing positive for PEDs, also known as performance enhancement drugs, during his fight with Hieron Franca at UFC 73. Anyways, this pretty much helped Stevenson land a title shot against Penn. Just as Herb Dean had given the green light to the fighters to begin, they touched gloves immediately, and BJ Penn was able to throw a beautiful uppercut, dropping Joe the first 4 seconds of the first round.
Damn.
This caused most of the fight to become a completely ground game dominated fight. But obviously this was no issue for BJ. At the end of the first round, Stevenson literally looked like a man who just got mugged. This is all to BJ Penn throwing horrific elbows, bouncing off Stevenson's forehead, causing him to shoot out blood like a fire hydrant. The Cutmen tried their best to close the gash on his forehead as best as they could, but after a few exchanges in the beginning of the round, the cut opened back up again and bled out even worse, causing both fighters to be completely covered in blood. Honestly,
shit, yeah.
I'm surprised Stevenson hung in there as much as he could and tried to fight out of the submission. But when BJ Penn had Stevenson on his back, everybody knew it was over. After the fight had ended, BJ did a signature face smacking and glove licking celebration. I don't care about what anybody else says, but you can't help but to feel bad for Joe after this one. Honestly, this is a beautiful performance from BJ Penn, and also a lot of props to Stevenson for hanging in there as much as he could.
God
Let's move on to the next one.
You got mauled, bro.
Cain Velasquez versus Antonio Silva. This next one is one of the most talked about ones as well. This bout between Cain Velasquez versus Bigfoot Silva is definitely up there for the bloodiest fights of all time. These two guys are freaks of nature due to their size. Not just height, but how big they actually are. Cain Velasquez is only 6'1", while Silva's about 6'4". Former UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez was set to defend his title against Antonio Silva, also known as Bigfoot Silva. They were the main event of the evening for UFC 160. When the fight had started, Antonio decided—
You already know, heavyweights, they throwing them heavy punches, bro. This is about to get crazy.
To go for a sweeping leg kick, causing Cain to fall. But while he fell, he was able to hold onto Antonio's leg, pulling him down with him. There was no contest at this point. Cain was wailing on Bigfoot with hammer fists and elbows, causing Antonio to spill out until he couldn't see anymore.
Damn.
I mean, come on, dude, look at him. Silva has more red on his face than his shorts. Immediately, the fight had to be stopped so the Cutman could take care of Antonio. As soon as the fight continued, they started right where they had left off. Cain had immediately taken Antonio to the ground, hence ending the fight 2 minutes later. This was pretty much a massacre. Cain was on top of Antonio the whole time, just wailing on the guy. Pretty rough to watch, but it was also an amazing fight as well. Let's hop on to the next one.
Alright.
Stefan Struve versus
Cain Velasquez, a beast.
You have a 5'11" dude fighting a 7-foot skyscraper of a person. Is it just me, or does that look a little odd?
Duh, that's odd.
These two were set to face off in UFC 99. They weren't the main event of the evening, but they were able to draw in some excitement.
How did this fight even occur?
With their performance. Pretty much, this fight starts off with a little bit of stand-up, you know, exchanging jabs, but Storie was just trying to get Storie on the ground and into submission. The funny thing is, even with—
Why would the tall dude try to get him into submission, bro? I would keep him away and throw hella jabs and hella straights.
Storie was on his knees, he's practically the same height as Dennis. Storie attempted a failed triangle choke, causing Storie to stand back up on his feet. This is what caused the blood dispute. Since Storie did not want to leave the ground, this just caused Storie to get on top of him and lay down some of the most brutal hammer fists ever seen. I mean, Dennis doesn't even have to go to Home Depot to get a hammer based on the hammer fist he was showcasing in this fight. Pretty much the fight ended with Storie getting on top of Storie and was able to secure a really good choke until Storie was able to tap out.
Oh, he still won?
I feel like I needed stitches just looking at Storie after this.
Yeah, right?
Alright, let's move on to the next one. Okay, now this one is a UFC community favorite. These two were set to fight in UFC 189, where Robbie would be defending his belt against Rory MacDonald. These two have already faced each other, and Robbie ended up being the winner by split decision. Rory wanted another chance though. This fight started off pretty slow, causing the crowd to boo since neither of the fighters were engaging as much. Little did the crowd know how much of a turn this fight was actually going to take. The rounds picked up even more as both fighters just started throwing hands. Eventually, Rory would get a cut on his nose and under his eye. The crowd thought it was going to end here, so Rory was able to put damage back on Lawler, making it seem like Robbie was close to dropping. Honestly, this was one of the most chilling moments. At the end of round 4, both fighters were covered in blood and started staring at each other when Robbie spit out a mouthful of blood. This was the actual BMF fight. The fight eventually ended due to Robbie punching Rory, causing him to fall, and counted as a loss due to a TKO. It kind of seemed as Rory had given up, but how much can you take? It was revealed after the fight that Rory actually had his nose broken by Robbie. Alright, let's keep going. Mark Hunt versus Antonio Silva. This one is an excellent fight as well. Hunt and Silva would fight at UFC Fight Night 33. Some people say that this was the best heavyweight fight of all time. The amount of respect both of these fighters had for each other was absolutely insane. The fight started off pretty slow with a couple of jabs, till Silva was able to drop Hunt with a right hook. Eventually, Hunt was able to get up from this and continue fighting. Blood was already starting to show when Mark's bleached hair was slowly turning red. Silva and Hunt were able to land a lot of punches on each other, but it seemed more noticeable on Antonio since he began bleeding more than Hunt. Eventually, the fight had ended and was put as a draw, but there are a lot of arguments claiming that Mark had actually won the fight and that it shouldn't have been a draw at all. What did you guys think of the outcome? Silva was later on disqualified for testing positive for the use of steroids. Eventually, when Silva was readmitted into the UFC, his bout with Mark was not like the first. Mark had beaten Silva in the first round of the fight. Anyways, let's go on to the next one. Jim Miller vs. Joe Lauzon. People argue that this was the bloodiest fight of all time.
Oh shit,
this fight consisted of Joe Lauzon fighting Jim Miller in UFC 155. Not only was the fight gruesomely bloody, the skill and heart showcased by these two fighters was spectacular to watch. It seemed that in the first minute and a half of the first round, that Jim was going to be able to do an arm triangle in a standing position, but Joe was able to get out of it. The fight was stopped a few times to take care of Joe's nasty cut, or to get rid of the loose wrap around Joe's wrist. This fight could have gone either way, since Joe had almost ended the fight by getting Jim into submission. Joe was able to drop down and secure a heel hook, but was not able to finish due to the last round being over. Both fighters were coated in a layer of blood by the time the fight had ended. This was an incredible fight and is listed top 5 for the bloodiest bouts in the UFC. You can even hear from Joe Rogan.
What a fight. That was a tremendous fight.
Okay. This is what we love to see, bro.
Alright, let's move on to the next one.
Alright.
Kenny Florian versus Sherk. This one is labeled as one of the bloodiest fights out there as well. Kenny Florian was set to fight Sherk in UFC 64. A week before he had fought Kenny, Sean had torn his shoulder, which made his trainers nervous about this fight. Sean was able to push through and took the fight on. When the bout had begun, Sean had completely dominated most of the rounds. Even though Sean had shown dominance in the earlier rounds, Kenny had landed some pretty good elbows on the ground. This caused Sean to have a pretty nasty gash above his forehead. Surprisingly, the ref had never stopped the fight. There were many times throughout the fight that Kenny had stuck his toes in the fence to defend against the ground game. Sean had even managed to pick Kenny up and was trying to throw him, but Kenny grabbed onto the fence for a bit in order to stop Sean, which caused the ref to intervene. This was a pretty big fail because Sean was able to throw Kenny like a ragdoll and lay down some more punches seconds after he tried to grab the fence. The fight had ended, which would be announced as a win for Sean via unanimous decision. Sherk was given the champion's belt after he defeated Kenny. This fight definitely had a lot of blood put into it as well. Alright, let's move on to the next one.
The homie takedown game was low-key fire, though. Look at this. This how I'ma do you. Like I said, keep talking shit.
In order to stop Sean, which caused the ref to intervene. This was a pretty big fail because Sean was able to throw Cain like a ragdoll and lay down some more punches.
And now I'm gonna elbow you in the face.
Seconds after he tried to grab the fence. Hieron versus Jonathan Goulet. This fight is definitely up there for the bloodiest fights ever to be recorded.
Damn, yeah, look
Even
at all that
Stitch
blood.
Duran has claimed that this is the bloodiest fight and worst cut he has ever had to have dealt with. Hieron and Jonathan Goulet fought at UFC Fight Night 2 back in 2005. The blood had come into the second round when Jonathan had thrown an excellent knee, causing blood to immediately gush from Jay's forehead.
Yup.
Jay had started off the fight really well, but the blood made it really difficult to pay attention to what was going on in front of him. These two would go to fight till Jonathan was able to put Jay away in the third round due to a stoppage because of Goulet throwing in another successful knee, causing Jay to lose more blood. Props to Jay for sticking in as long as he could though. This was an incredible fight. Shame that it was put away early.
Great video from the homie. We saw some warriors, man, some modern day warriors going at it, getting bloody, saying, I don't give a fuck. We still fighting. Bro, they got heart. They got a heart. And y'all be thinking these rappers got heart. No comment. See y'all next time. Shout out to the gang. Peace.